It's really always a delight to be with the Harari Sangha. So I feel very honored to have been invited. So yes, we discussed this topic of expanding circles of care. And the way I like to facilitate is purely from my own experience and through my own personal stories. So I guess the theme is one that's been evolving for me for a while, but it came into really sharp relief in the last few months when I traveled back to the UK to take care of my mother. And many of you know that I don't have children myself, so I've never really had to, give of myself in that way that I think you do learn as parents, that sense of unconditional care. So it was quite a, one could call it a retreat. One could call it a sense of a growth moment in my life to really be fully present for someone and attend to their needs and their difficulties, and to see where I could use my own practice as a way to care for someone else. So the way I'd like to present today is to start just with a kind of model that I've found useful in terms of expanding circles of care. So I'd like, having just spoken, I'd like to settle, and I invite you to do that with me. So just feeling wherever you are, whatever temperature you're in, maybe noticing the temperature of the air against your face. And then feeling the points of contact with the earth. And I love always to connect to Mother Earth, knowing that there's something vast beneath us that we can really sit down upon and know that we can trust. So maybe that sense of sitting in the lap of a really caring mother, a caring parent. And from that place of groundedness, see if you can allow a sense of lengthening up through the spine, right through the crown of the head. Just feel lifted as if there was a thread from the top of your head drawing you up into the sky. And again, trusting the skeleton to hold you here as you now relax the face and the shoulders and the belly, letting the skin and the muscles just drape over the bones. And tuning in right now to what you're feeling. And I love the word feeling in the English language because it implies both your physical sensation, what you're feeling in your body, but also what emotions might be here. Getting a sense maybe of the feeling or emotion that feels comfortable, but also maybe one that is just knocking from the side, which is less comfortable. We can hold many things in the same moment. And then coming back to the screen. So this circle of care, or circles of safety, I sometimes call them. Right at the center is this real birthright that we have. None of us would still be alive today if we hadn't been cared for by someone, or by a whole community, actually. You know, sometimes we wish it were our mother who cared for us, but that isn't the circumstances of our life. It may be a grandparent, it may have been an aunt or an uncle, it may have been caregivers in a home. So we may have certain hopes for who our caregivers would have been, or we may have wished that they were able to care for us in more skillful ways. But the very fact that we're all still alive today is because we live within communities of care. And when I first heard that from one of my own teachers, it really settled me into this sense that it's an innate part of us. It's not actually something we need to learn, how to give care and how to receive care. It's part of our human birthright. And so we may need to remember how to give and receive, but we don't need to learn it from the start. We already have this capacity that we're born into. And so the ideal situation is that when we're very tiny, we are able to sense how it feels to be cared for. And in kind of psychological language, we call this having a secure attachment. Of course, in Buddhism, attachment is often seen as maybe, you know, a less desirable quality. But being securely attached means that we know that we can put our trust in someone or in something. And so I guess in terms of Buddhist teachings, where we can feel a secure attachment, if you like, is in the teachings themselves, are our lineage holders, or even, you know, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. We can get this sense that we are cared for. Someone mentioned the universe. We can sense that there's a benevolent universe, there's a benevolent energy that maybe is caring for us all the time. And just to be able to settle into that feeling, I find very supportive and reassuring. And of course, once we are able to get the sense of being cared for, the next circle, if you like, the next sort of round as we're expanding outwards, is that we learn that we can take care of ourselves. And that's why I've been guiding so many meditations recently which focus on our feelings and our needs. Because if we can tune into how we're feeling at the physical level and at the emotional level, then we can learn how to take care of ourselves. And we often use the terminology in, you know, more sort of psychological practices of self-regulation. We can learn how to regulate our emotions. We can learn how to come back to a sense of groundedness, embodiedness, centeredness. And self-regulation is just such a powerful skill, particularly when we are living in very unstable circumstances. How do we listen to the news and then return to this sense of centeredness within ourselves? How do we hear the demands of others and still come back to this sense of safety and care within ourselves? Because once we're able to do that, we can now expand a little wider. We can extend our care to those with whom we share our life, whether in person, the people we actually live with, or whether in our community. And at the moment, it's an online community, but you know, soon we'll also have communities of bodies that we can take care of. And also this sense of caring for the whole planet. If there's one thing the pandemic has really taught us all, is the Buddhist principle of interconnectedness, interdependence. So we know that our little, you know, if we can care for ourselves, care for those around us, somehow that sort of moves through the whole web of life. And there's a sense of caring for everything by attending to our little jigsaw piece. Then everyone around can put their little piece of jigsaw into the puzzle, and the whole world at some level can feel held within care. So that is the kind of principle, if you like, of what I'm exploring today. So right in the center, how do we allow ourselves to be cared for by others? Then how do we learn to care for ourselves? And then how do we expand that out to caring for those within our environment and caring for those within our world, not just humans, but all living beings.